Alright, so today I went through my snakes and I did a head count. Believe it or not, I didn't even know how many snakes I had in this room. I'm a breeder of ball pythons, so the number of snakes here is always changing. It seems like every few days I'm opening up a new box of hatchlings out of the incubator, setting them up in the hatchling rack. So I keep getting more and more snakes. And I actually bought one this year that I actually paid quite a bit of money for. And besides that one, I hatched out a whole bunch, and then I had a bunch of breeders. I did a head count and it looks like I have 116 snakes in this room right now, which is pretty incredible. Actually, I have 115 in this room and I have one more out on the pool table. Lucy, she's a really big snake. I started thinking, you know, I've actually watched quite a few YouTube videos of people breeding snakes and I see their facilities and I always think, wouldn't it be nice to actually take a peek in every single tub in their entire collection, just go through and peek in. And that's what I'm going to show you today. I actually tried to show all my snakes several times before, and it always seems like it's this big ordeal because I'm a little bit too slow explaining a lot of the details about the snakes. And I thought this time what I do is I kind of just fly through all the snakes, should just take a few seconds on each snake and just open the tubs and show you what I have right now. It's a pretty neat time because I actually haven't sold any of my hatchlings. I'm pretty much saving them all for the Denver Repticon, which is coming up here October 19th and 20th, 2019. Hope to see you there. It's about 2 months away, so that'd be pretty cool. This will give you a sneak peek at pretty much everything I have as far as holdbacks, what I bought into, my breeders and my hatchlings, some of my retics, and everything, all 116 snakes. So let's get started and check out some snakes. Alright, so first I want to show you my reptile room. I have a lot of snakes in here. Actually, this over here is all full of female ball pythons over here. I have a corn snake in the middle, I'll show you that. This whole rack here is full of ball python hatchlings from this year. This rack right here is full of mostly my males, some smaller females I'm growing up, some stuff that I held back from last year. I have a big retic on the bottom, I'll show you that one. And then over here I have some more ball python hatchlings that I hatched out this year. Pretty much everything all the way down to here where the labels run out. And then from here down, it's empty. I think I have 6 more eggs in the incubator, but that is pretty much it for the year. And then I have one up here that I actually bought. It's a banana enchi clown. I'm going to actually show you that one too. But I'm going to start with my big snakes. And let's check out the really big reticulated pythons. Alright, so this is Lucy. She is a 50% Jampea dwarf, a white albino reticulated python. She's 50% mainland. She weighs probably a little over 80 pounds. She's in a big 6-foot enclosure. Actually moved her to half paper and half this coconut husk chip. And the funny thing is, it seems like she likes to sit on the coconut more than the paper, which is kind of interesting. She is a really beautiful snake. Alright, so the next snake I want to show you is Sunny. He is the mate of Lucy. I tried to pair him up the last couple of years, and unfortunately Lucy didn't lay any eggs. This is a purple albino, 50% Jampea dwarf, and 37.5% super dwarf. Pretty much full size at about 35 pounds, only 12.5% mainland. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start opening tubs, and I think I'm just going to drag this light along. This is a really cool studio light that I use. This first tub here, this is where Bobby lives. And of course, you always see Bobby around my neck on all my videos. I'm actually going to upgrade him to a bigger tub here pretty soon. This is my male scaleless head, 50% het caramel albino. I'm going to breed that one back to my female 100% het caramel albino, which would be pretty cool. This is a spider pied white wedding. So this is the spider gene with the pied gene in a completely white snake. Really picky eater. You can tell it's really thin for it being 2016. It went off feed for a long time. You can see it's actually back on food, which is really cool. This is my male coral glow, my original coral glow. I paid like $1,100 for this thing. 100% het pied. Still don't have any coral glow pieds. That is where all my coral glows came from. This is my lesser pied, really beautiful snake. It's a visual pied with the lesser gene, which is kind of interesting. It makes a completely white snake. This is my original scaleless head male. I paid like $1,250 back in the day for this one. Definitely not worth that much. That is where all my scaleless head stuff came from. That is pretty awesome. Kind of a blast of history there. This is, ooh, he is really in shed. My pastel desert ghost male, really faded out. He needs a little spot cleaning there. I need to get in there. Actually, I just went through these the other day and he wasn't that faded and he didn't mess his tub. So this is a spider pie. This is my male. I actually bred it this year and that's where all my spiders came from. Alright, so moving up to the next two levels, this is my fire pied. I actually bred this to a normal this year and I got some fires, 100% het pied, really beautiful snake. And moving on here, this is my Pinstripe Pied, which is a really picky eater. I actually even tried to feed this one a live mouse this week. Didn't take it, still has been fasting for a long time. Sometimes these snakes will drive you crazy. This is my Bumblebee. Possible het pied, possible yellow belly, and this girl is pretty much live only. That's the only thing she'll eat. I actually just fed her alive this week, the first time in probably a couple months. I really don't like feeding live, but that's all she'll take. This is my straight clown female. She actually laid some eggs this year, and actually crossed my Albino Pied with that one, which is pretty cool. This is my Bamboo lesser male. So you mix the Bamboo with the lesser, you get a completely white snake. And this one, I'm definitely going to breed to a lot of females, I think maybe normals. Half the babies will be Bamboo, half will be lesser, which would be pretty cool since it's a lilac. This is a really big clown. I was actually bought that male clown for this one. This is a lesser clown, and the male's not going to be ready for this one, so I'm going to have to figure out what I'm actually going to breed to this. This is my Albino Pied male, where all my double hets. I actually had one visual Albino Pied. I crossed him with an albino, 100% het pied, got one visual. And this is my Dinker project, the 50% het pied. This is the one that we can't quite figure out. We think maybe it really looks like a Rio, which is a super Arroyo, but I don't know. We'll have to, the jury is still out on that one. Alright, so moving up two more rows. We'll just take them 2 rows at a time. This is one of my most impressive combos. This is a Calico Bamboo. That thing is screaming. As a matter of fact, I'm definitely going to hold that one back, and if I breed that, I'll breed it back to something, hopefully maybe a Lemon Blast, which would be pretty cool. This is a female Lemon Blast scaleless head, really high expression scaleless head on this Lemon Blast, and she's getting up to size. I'm thinking maybe I can breed her pretty soon, and you'll see some of these prices are on here from a long time ago when these guys were pretty much hatchlings. This is a female scaleless head, 50% het caramel albino, hoping to actually cross my males and my females together to get a totally scaleless caramel albino at some point. Here's another totally scaleless head Lemon Blast female. This is basically the spitting image of the other one. This is another male scaleless head, 50% het caramel albino. So I can cross this hopefully with something else and hopefully get a completely scaleless caramel albino at some point. Here's another female scaleless head, 50% het caramel albino. I have quite a few of these, and once I figure out which ones are actually het and when I actually produce the scaleless, I'll probably unload some of these. Here is a female's pastel scaleless head. You can tell I'm big into the scaleless head. These are all my holdbacks from last year, which is pretty cool. This is kind of the higher end stuff that didn't sell. Here's another male scaleless head, 50% het caramel albino, 50% chance that these guys could be caramel albino. hopefully I'll have some that are actually het for caramel albino. I'm gonna have to get a ladder for this last one here. Alright, so I got my ladder out on this one. This one is all the way up on the top, and my lights barely reach up here. I'm kind of vertically challenged. This one was actually a bamboo lemon blast. So it's a bamboo pastel pinstripe. And at first we thought this was actually the king tut because I thought it was a male at first. Figured out later that it's actually a female, which is pretty cool. Definitely want to hold on to that. Produce some more king tuts. That is a really cool combo. So let me show you some of my hatchlings. Let's move over. All right, so here we go, up on the top row of the hatchlings. These are some pretty cool snakes up on the top. This one to start with, let's see if we can get the light up here. It barely fits. This is actually a fire, 100% Het Pied. This came from my Fire Pied, which is really cool. The first time I produced fires. This one's named Flicker. This is a male. We actually named him. This is Echo, which is just 100% Het Pied. Came from that same clutch, but didn't get the fire. This one is Noodle. This is another fire. This is a female, 100% Het Pied fire. Really beautiful snake. I love these fires. And let's move on to this. This is Bender, just 100% Het Pied. Pretty much just a normal. This one here, this is Sweetie. You can see she actually ate 5. She's a little bit behind. She started really super skinny, probably my skinniest, smallest runt. You can see she's got some pretty good size to her now that she's eaten 5 mice, doing pretty good. This is my male Pastel. His name is Monty, ate 6 rodents, looking like he could probably eat another one. Actually, these guys are gonna eat just in probably another day. Tomorrow's feeding day for these guys. This is one in shed. This is Nugget, my Pastel, which is probably the one I'm gonna hold back. When it's not in shed, this one is super bright. This is Yoda, a bamboo. At first we thought these were pastel bamboos. I'm pretty sure now that they are just straight bamboos. This one's in shed too. These guys are all going to shed, of course, when I want to show them off. It's pretty funny. Here's another really reduced bamboo. Look at how beautiful that is. Such a beautiful snake. I love these bamboos. Let's take a look. This is Pepper, just a straight normal female, nothing really fancy there. Would make a good pet. I'm definitely gonna sell these at the show or on the internet. Here's another one. This one is a male. Let's see if we can keep from getting bit here. This is Fluffy, which is a male normal. As a matter of fact, I might keep one of these male normals because I had that Dinker project. I might actually cross one of these male normals to that Dinker project and see if I can kind of prove out something that's going on there. So this one is Yuki, just a straight lesser. Beautiful. I love these lessers. And then let's see, this one's actually a holdback. This is a lesser scaleless head. Take a look at that beauty. It has the scaleless head, so if you breed 2 scaleless heads together, you get a completely scaleless ball python. Has just a few scales missing from the head. This is Boomer, a normal. Just kind of flying through these real quick. These guys are getting some good weight on them, really good size. And I love these rack systems. You can just go through and just pull out the snakes. You don't have to open any containers or anything. It's really easy to show off my snakes. This is Buttons, another male normal. And let me move my lights down and we will continue. Alright, so this next one's named Cupcake. This is a male, just a straight scaleless head, pretty high expression scaleless head. Definitely will be for sale at one point, probably sell them at the show and then sell them on the internet afterwards. This is Ziggy, a scaleless head. This one's doing really good. And scaleless heads, you know, a lot of people were interested in getting into the project. I'll definitely have some hatchlings for sale if you're looking for some scaleless heads. This is Twister, just a lesser male, really beautiful snake. This one is Striker, a pastel, 100% Het Desert Ghost. I actually produced these from my Pastel Desert Ghost male and produced some Desert Ghost hets. This is Hunter, which is a pinstripe, 100% Het Desert Ghost. I love these pinstripes, really beautiful snakes. Probably one of my favorite standalone morphs. Been around for a long time. You can get them pretty inexpensive. And there's another one. This is just a pinstripe. This one looks like he's going to take a bite at me. I love these pinstripes. There's nothing like a pinstripe. And these are Het Desert Ghosts, so it's a pretty awesome breeder. This is Raven Lemon Blast, which is a pastel pinstripe, 100% Het Desert Ghost. Look at how beautiful that snake is. That is a stunner. This is another one I'm holding back. This is Chewy. Chewy is a Super Blast, which is the super pastel pinstripe, 100% Het Desert Ghost. Really cool snake. I'm definitely going to hold that one back and breed pinstripe into my Desert Ghost project. You can see the head is really faded out on this guy. This is really an interesting snake. I really love the colors on that one. This one is a normal. This is Tiger, and Tiger is actually came out with a really kind of a jumbled up pattern, which is kind of interesting. That's why we call them Tiger. It's going to be an interesting normal to have. This is Precious, a spider, 100% Het Pied, 50% Het Caramel Albino. Essentially, I took my Spider Pied and I crossed it with my 100% Het Caramel Albino female. That's how I got the genetics on this one. Here's another one. Essentially the same genetics on this one. It's a spider, 100% Het Pied, 50% Het Caramel Albino. This is Houdini, just a straight normal, 100% Pied, Het Pied, 50% Het Caramel Albino. You really can't tell the Caramel Albino, but you can definitely see the belly tracks on some of these that they're 100% Het Pied. And I'm going to move my lights down one more time. Alright, here is Coco, 100% Het Pied, 50% Het Caramel Albino. Really good looking snake. A lot of these just look straight normal, but they have some really good breeding potential. A lot of people last year were asking for Het Pieds. This year I'll have an incredible amount of Het Pieds. This is Slinky, 100% Het Pied, 50% Het Caramel Albino. Here is Thor, a really crazy looking bamboo, and I'm thinking about actually keeping one of these really crazy looking bamboos if it's a female. I haven't actually figured out which one's the males or the females. This one actually hasn't even had a single meal. I offered it twice already. Some of these have missed, and some of these have eaten twice. You can see here, this one's actually eaten twice. This is Lefty, a bamboo, a little bit reduced. Really good looking snake. Here's another one. This is Sparky, the bamboo. This one looks really good too. Take a look at that one. That is really crazy. I love these bamboos. I just keep cranking out the bamboos, and they're all like little snowflakes. They're all so much different. This one is named Porky, just a straight normal, and Porky is really super small and skinny. This one's actually eaten one rodent, still really small. Only one meal since it hatched out. These are really fresh. This one is Cobra, spider, 100% Het Pied, 50% Het Caramel Albino. I love these spiders. Let's see if I can get this guy up. Look at how awesome these spiders look. That is really amazing. I love those spiders. This one we named Terminator, another spider. Has been a few people looking for spiders. This one looks like he could take a chunk out of me. Of course, at that age, they really can't do any damage. Here is Sunshine, another spider. I have quite a few spiders, and this one looks like I can pick them up no problem. Look at how beautiful the spider morph is. These are 100% Het Pied, 50% Het Caramel Albino. This is Fang. We named it Fang. This is another really crazy pattern bamboo. Take a look at that, how jumbled up that pattern is. That is really crazy. I love those bamboos. Here is Elektra, just a normal 100% Het Pied, 50% Het Caramel Albino. Nice looking snake there, really dark. Nice looking snake. Here's Slayer, 100% Het Pied, 50% Het Caramel Albino. Another really good looking snake. Alright, so believe it or not, you just saw 67 snakes. I'm flying through these like crazy. So I went halfway through my hatchlings. I want to show you some of my adult females that I'm using to breed. These guys, these guys are really super big. This guy, we think it's a morph of ball python that's a little bit bigger. You can see it's kind of a thick bone, has a big head to it. We think this is a different locality of ball python that has kind of like a giant gene in it, which is pretty crazy. Then I have, that's basically a lemon blast. I have a Het caramel female, 100% Het caramel albino. This is the one that actually I bred with my spider pied. So all these, most of these have laid eggs and they're coming back off of the breeding and actually eating again. Some of them are back on food. Here is a huge lesser. Look at how big this girl is. She is really big. That is a really big snake, and that is where a lot of my lesser hatchlings have come from the big girls like that. I actually have 2 lessers. That's just one of them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide my lights over here since we're close to the floor. And let me show you this big lemon blast here. Let's see if I can move my table back and my lights. This girl is back on food, just laid eggs recently and starting to get some weight. Just a straight lemon blast. I actually have 4 lemon blasts. Here is my Pastel Calico. This girl will, for some reason, she just will not eat. She is being really stubborn. She actually had the year off and she still won't eat. Actually, last year she laid a big clutch of eggs. That's where I got my Calico Bamboo from this girl. So she did her job and actually got a male that has calico in it that I can breed back. So technically, I really don't need her this year because I can breed that back. Here is, these lights are almost need to be adjusted again. This is a spider with the jungle woma gene in it, which is cool. This girl actually laid 1 clutch of eggs last year. She had this year off. She's super, super picky. And I actually fed her a fresh killed rat, a really decent sized one. The first one she ever ate since I had her for years and years. She's always been a mouser. I finally got her to eat 1 rat, which is pretty exciting. Hopefully I can continue with this girl. Alright, so I moved the lights up a little bit and we don't actually have to crawl on the floor to look at these snakes. This is my Pinstripe. This Pinstripe I actually crossed with my this one looks like he's like going for another rat. I actually fed this girl 2 rats. She looks like she wants another one. Actually, tomorrow's feeding day. That's why they're kind of fired up. And this one I actually crossed with my Pastel Desert Ghost. This is where we got the Pinstripe Het Desert Ghost from this girl, which is pretty cool. She's back on food, which hopefully we got 2 months to get these girls up to size until we can actually start pairing them up again. So hopefully that'll be good. This one, I got to show you this one. This is my biggest ball python out of all my snakes in my entire collection. This one is probably close to 5,000 grams. Take a look at how big this girl is. She is really super big. She's kind of grumpy too. She eats full-size female rats. The only ball python I've ever seen that'll actually eat a full-size rat. She is a monster. 100% Het caramel albino. And then if we move up to this snake is my only non-ball python other than my retics. This is my corn snake, and the corn snake is living in a big boa tub with lots of decorations and lots of stuff going on here. Beautiful male corn snake. Take a look at this beauty. I never had a corn snake and I thought, you know, I'm actually going to try a corn snake because I've never actually had one. I thought it was pretty cool to actually buy one and kind of play around with it. Very, very tame. Not aggressive at all. Super good eater. This thing will eat and eat and eat like you wouldn't believe. Never refuses a meal. Really awesome snake. And just take a look at the enclosure. Really awesome setup. So as we go through all these snakes, I'm starting to realize I actually have a lot of snakes. It is pretty incredible. This is my normal female number 4 that we actually think might have something in it. This one actually produced that what we think is the Rio, the Super Arroyo, which is really interesting, but it doesn't really look like it has Arroyo in this or the Coral Glow. So that is a really interesting snake. This is just a straight pastel. This one is definitely out of food. You can see it is fired up and ready. This one laid eggs. You can see it's super skinny, back on food, which is pretty cool. This is another lemon blast. This one ate 2 meals and it's back on food. Most of these are all back on food. You can see they're all ready for food. This one's actually got some pretty good body condition already just from laying eggs. So these guys have laid eggs and they're back on food, a lot of them. This is my normal female number 1, back on food as well after laying eggs for the very first year. This is actually the one I got for free on Craigslist, which is pretty cool. This is one of my very first ball pythons, and it was so small and stunted when I first got her, and I was so proud that I grew her up, and actually she laid some eggs. It was really awesome to see her come from a really scrawny little runt to actually getting big and producing a clutch of eggs. That was really neat. This is another lemon blast. This is actually the lemon blast that I got Nugget from. The Nugget is that pastel that is super, super bright. If you take a look at this one, it has some really strong yellows. Probably my lemon blast with the most yellow in it. And I think this line of yellow, this line of pastel in this snake is actually something really special. That's what I'm thinking about holding back Nugget, which is one of my hatchlings from this year. This is my albino Het Pied. This one has been fasting and fasting and fasting. Would not eat. She actually had the year off and still wouldn't eat. And finally, I got her to eat her first one. It was a live rat, and I do not like to feed live. For some reason, this snake will only feed live. It is a live only feeder. So I'm starting to think if I actually show off snakes in tubs, I'm going to need some taller lights, maybe some bigger ladders to actually crawl way up here. This is my pastel female number 1. I actually still don't have names for these snakes. I just call them pastel number 1 because it is the first pastel that I ever bought. And ooh, look at the big old chunks over here. If you've ever seen a snake that has really a really dirty container. I actually just went through these just the other day. I have to go through and spot clean again. I'm kind of eyeing them now so I know which ones to go back. This is my pied female. This girl, I tried to breed her several years. This was actually one of my very first snakes. Still hasn't laid eggs, and I think it's because she is a really picky eater, and I finally got her to eat alive, which I don't like to feed. And sometimes she'll eat some mice, and sometimes she'll eat a fresh kill. But usually the only thing that's really consistent with this girl is if I feed live rats, which I don't like to do. And that's one of the reasons I think that she's still kind of small, is because she really hasn't eaten a lot. This girl is really interesting. This is one of my most impressive snakes. This is my pastel spider desert ghost female, and I actually tried to breed her this year. Kind of a mistake because she went off of food, didn't lay eggs, and she still won't eat. It's driving me crazy. And usually these desert ghosts eat like crazy and there's no problem, and it's weird. I tried to pair her up and she just decided that she was not gonna eat anymore. It's kind of driving me crazy. Here is a lesser. Check out this female lesser, and this one's finally back on food. She laid eggs and fasted for a couple months and finally got back on food. So hopefully I'll actually get her to breed, which would be pretty cool. This normal female number 3, this one laid some eggs this year, and she actually is back on food with a vengeance. And I can definitely tell a lot of these are shedding. You can see they're shedding really well. No stuck sheds with this coconut husk, which is really good. I actually just changed the coconut husk not too long ago. Here's my last one in this rack. This is actually an albino, really high contrast albino. This one is really crazy looking. I love the contrast between the yellow and the white on this one. Really beautiful. And she was on a long fast too. She had the year off, and she's actually back on live rats only, which is the albinos. It's funny, the albinos and my pied, my albinos and my pied are pretty much live rats, and the bumblebee that I have is pretty much only on live rats. All right, so I just have a few more hatchlings in this rack, and I'm starting to think that, at first glance you would think that this is actually a lot of work. It's not really that much work to actually deal with all these snakes, because you don't really work with them that much. It's pretty much once a week going through and feeding them and changing the water and stuff like that. This is actually a triple het albino, het pied, het clown. These guys, obviously you're seeing everything pretty much just as, pretty much right before cleaning day, right before feeding. So this is as real as it gets. Here's another triple het albino pied clown. These are actually the ones I'm going to hold back. Here is Hamburger, a normal. We named this one Hamburger, which is kind of cool. We don't even know if it's a male or female yet. We haven't actually probed these to figure it out. Here is another bamboo. Probably what I'll do is I'll just pull these out really quick and hold them under the light so you can kind of get an idea of what they look like. These just hatched out. Look at how tiny and skinny this guy is. Super tiny. I actually tried to feed these guys twice, and this one didn't eat. So I'm thinking maybe this one might be a good candidate for assist feeding on some of these. Here is Boss, another bamboo. Let me see if I can move my little ladder over here, and we'll see if we can get Boss out and take a look at him. This is Boss. Really good bamboo. Just hatched out a couple weeks ago. Hasn't eaten anything yet. This one is Mango, another triple het albino pied clown. Hasn't had a meal yet. Good looking snake. Take a look at that one. This is another triple het. I think I had 6 of these triple hets. This one actually had 1 meal. You can see it's kind of up and ready for another meal, which is pretty cool. Ready for another rodent. This is the one I actually bought, my banana Anchi clown. You can see it is right at home in this little hatchling rack. Actually ate 3 mice, doing really good. I don't think it's going to be ready for my clowns this year. This thing is really crazy looking. Take a look at that. I actually paid like $1,500 for that snake. So it's kind of my biggest investment of the year, I think. This is another triple het albino pied clown. I'm hoping that most of these are females. If I have multiple males, I might actually sell some, but I'm not quite sure which ones are males and females. Here's another triple het albino pied clown. Another holdback, which is pretty cool. Can't really tell too much that they're triple hets. They look pretty normal, which is pretty interesting. This is Brownie, my 50% het pied. Just a 50% het pied. Really yellow looking normal. Possible het pied. This is Destroyer, another 50% het pied, which is pretty neat. This actually, most likely, these came, so this is interesting. These came from my Coral Glows, which actually produced that Rio looking. And if you look at these guys, you don't really see any, I don't even see any kind of Rio or any kind of anything else in there coming from that coral. That Coral Glow produced quite a bit. But I don't think it's coming from that Coral Glow. Here's another one, 50% het pied. We kind of look at these thinking about the Rio project, that Dinker project. This looks about as normal as you can get. I don't think there's anything in that one. Here's another 50% het pied. These are all coming from the Coral Glow. Actually, these came from, from the Coral Glow and a normal, a different normal. It was actually a different normal because that normal number 4, I actually paired it with something else this year. Here is a Coral Glow 50% het pied. I will have a few Coral Glows for sale. Beautiful Coral Glows. Look at that beauty. Let's see what else we have here. This one is Apollo. Coral Glow 50% het pied. So I offered these guys some meals. They didn't eat. This one's actually... looks like it's kind of, it looks like it's going in another shed, which is interesting. Here is Magnum, a Coral Glow 50% het pied. So this is another Coral Glow. These haven't eaten, they haven't been out of the egg for very long. These are pretty much my newest stuff, just hatched out. Really beautiful snakes. This is Pluto, 50% Het Pied. So this came from my Coral Glow. You can see if there's any kind of the Rio pattern in there. Not really. Looks pretty much as normal you can get. I don't think there's anything else in that Coral Glow. Well, I'd say maybe the patterns will reduce a little bit on this one, but I don't think it's anything like that Rio one. Here's another one that came from the Coral Glow, 50% Het Pied. This is Luna. These guys, I offered one meal, haven't eaten anything. This one, maybe, well, you can see the pattern's a little bit broke up there. Not much on that one. I have a lot of normal, 50% Het Pied. Here's another Coral Glow, 50% Het Pied, which is really nice. Actually hit the Coral Glow on this one. In a deep shed. This one, so this one I didn't even offer any food yet. So here's a Pinstripe, 100% Het Pied, 100% Het Albino. So I crossed my Albino Pied with my Pinstripe and cranked out these pins that are 100% Het Pied, 100% Het Albino. This one is 100% Het Pied, 100% Het Albino, but it didn't get the pinstripe, just a straight normal. So you can definitely see the pied markers on this one. Here's another one, pretty much the same as the other pinstripe, 100% Het Pied, 100% Het Albino, which is pretty cool. Getting towards the end here, here's another one. This is Bones, another pinstripe, Het Pied, Het Albino, coming from my Albino Pied crossed with my Pinstripe. And here is Bigfoot, Het Albino, Het Pied. Got quite a few of these double hets. If you're interested in the double hets, I'll definitely have them at the show. Whatever doesn't sell at the show, I'll definitely sell on the internet. There's another one, 100% Het Pied, 100% Het Albino. Pretty much normal looking snakes. You can definitely tell that these guys haven't even shed yet. Haven't even had their first shed fresh out of the egg. And this is kind of the latest stuff that I just hatched out within probably the last week here. I hatched this stuff out. This guy's not even this doesn't even have a shed in there. Not even going into a shed, fresh out of the egg. Here's Starbucks, Het Pied, Het Albino. Tons of Het Pied, Het Albino stuff. Really good looking snakes. Powerful breeders. If you breed two of these together, you'll get Pieds, you'll get Albinos, and you'll get Albino Pieds, which would be pretty cool. I might actually sell them as a pair, which would be kind of cool. Sell them as a breeding pair. That is the last snake right there. That is Peekaboo, Het Pied, and Het Albino. Alright, so there you have it. Now you've seen every single snake in my entire collection. It's just not me and Bobby here in the snake room. I have an incredible amount of snakes. And usually I don't go from the beginning to the end and look at all my snakes. Usually I take a section at a time. Like for example, this rack behind me this morning, I just went through part of this rack and I was spot cleaning, adding some moisture to the substrate, changing out the water cups, and I usually just take up one section at a time. And I don't go from beginning to end, and it seems like I have an incredible amount of snakes. I didn't even know I had that many snakes. It's pretty amazing. So I thought I'd throw in the question of the day. And Robert Olive asks, should I lower the temperature of my snakes to get them ready for breeding? And that is a very good question. Some snakes you really want to lower the temperature. Some snakes you want to brumate. For example, colubrids like king snakes and garter snakes, you really want to lower the temperature and put them in like a hibernation, a brumation for a couple months before you actually bring them back up to temperature and get them ready for breeding. With ball pythons, remember, these are actually a tropical species where you don't actually have to brumate them. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of breeders that will lower the temperature of the snakes right before breeding, but I found it actually works to your disadvantage by lowering the temperature. So for example, if I went through and I lowered the temperature of this room I'd say most of my snakes would actually go off of food, and that is exactly what you don't want leading into the breeding season. So I never change the temperatures or the hot spots or the ambient temperature at all. I leave them all the same, and to get them ready for breeding, essentially what I do is I just take a male like Bobby here, throw it in with a female, and always within the first day they lock up and start mating. And then, you know, you pretty much have to go through the whole breeding cycle. You cycle the males through the females pretty much at least once a month. You want them to actually copulate once per month for about 6 months. So you're always moving that male through, and eventually the females will start building eggs and go off of food. So you really want to get as much food into the females as much as you can before they actually start developing eggs and go off of food, because they can go off of food for up to 6 months at a time while they're getting ready to lay eggs, and then even after they lay eggs they can fast for quite a while. So I definitely I would say it depends on the breeder. For me personally, I don't change the temperatures, but I know pretty much the mainstream as far as ball python breeders, most people will lower the temperatures of not only the ambient but the hot spot to get ready for the breeding season. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.